Michael Steele, I've raised Judge Ludig's comments before because he is in this world. Again, he was advising Mike Pence between November and January, between the election that Trump lost and the deadly insurrection. And he's absolutely right. And I guess I lift that up because I'm not sure the networks that most of the folks in our former party watch will. But for Judge Ludig to say, we have a war going on now over America and its institutions of democracy is a headline, if there ever was one, on the right and within the right. And that's absolutely what we're watching and what we're covering. That's absolutely where this reporting falls in. That there's an active effort to continue today to undermine the results of the last election Trump lost, to sow the seeds to meddle in the next election, shall he run again.
And my concern to that point, and I think Judge Ludig is absolutely right, is how seriously do we take it? Listen, I get, what Amy was just reporting. But look, I take Scott at his word. If he said he took a plane down there and this is what they tried to do, OK, then let's put that pin in that and understand how that falls into the broader narrative that the judge is putting in front of us. The thing about a lot of these folks is their bravado is an outward expression of what their intent is and their hope for outcomes. And they say so and they brag about it and they're happy to talk about it because they don't believe they can be stopped. They think that there are more people in this country on their side than against them. And until the rest of us push back and tell them and show them that's not the case, that they are the outliers. They are the ones in the wrong. They are the ones who are looking to upend and destroy democracy as we know it in this country. They're going to continue to do that. So it puts pressure on the January 6th Commission to understand exactly what's at stake here. My good friend Jamie Raskin, I appreciate the words, baby, but don't tell me you're going to blow the roof off the sucker, right? Do it and let me conclude that. Yeah. As the observer, as the voter, as the citizen, let us come out and say, damn, look at this. Because if you fall short of that expectation that you have set, it falls into the political bucket. It falls in the dismissal bucket. It falls outside of what Americans begin to care about because right now they're more concerned about paying more at the gas pump than they are to democracy. They're more concerned about the cost of inflation than they are the democracy. So you've got to pinpoint this narrative that without the democracy, it doesn't matter what you're paying for gas. Without the democracy, it doesn't matter what inflation is because someone else is going to be controlling your lives in a way that you can never imagine under this system. And so the judge is exactly right about what is at stake at this moment.
Michael Steele, in fairness to Jamie Raskin, it's an older comment that we keep coming back to because it's so illustrative. But let me show you a more recent comment because, I appreciate what Judge Ludig said because even the far right listens to him. He was advising Mike Pence, as I said, as an outgoing vice president. But here's what Jamie Raskin said. He gave it a word, and he made it a starker choice than even you and I. It's between democracy and autocracies. Let me show you this.
We're in a struggle for our democracy. This is the fight of our lives that we're in. The autocrats are on the march all over the world. We see the ultimate destination of this kind of authoritarianism and violence and lying in Ukraine today, where Donald Trump's bosom buddy, Vladimir Putin, who a number of my GOP colleagues continue to revere and idolize, is engaged in daily war crimes against a sovereign nation where the people want nothing other than their freedom and their democracy. And so we understand that there's a struggle to defend democracy all over the world, which is besieged from Moscow to Mar-a-Lago with all of the autocrats and bullies and tyrants and kleptocrats and dictators getting together against democracy. So this set of hearings and the report that will follow is a message to the country.
If you are anti-democratic, you are an autocrat, Michael Steele. It's blunt language. Reminding people where autocrats rule is stark and it's jarring, but it makes your point. Tell people what the real choice is.
Yeah, exactly. And Jamie's right about it. It's not just here. It's global. And we saw how close France just came in their recent presidential election up to that tipping point. So it becomes imperative for us over the course of the summer and into the fall as citizens to reconcile ourselves around some very important salient points. One is the work of this commission and what we gather from that. Two is where do we as citizens stand on this democracy? Just how important is it to you? Because you get to make a choice this November when you put back into power or give more power to those political forces that are either standing with you in democracy or standing against you in an anti-democratic fashion. And that's the choice. It's not more stark than that. You can wail and wax on about all these big issues that we're now concerned about, from abortion to taxes to inflation and all that. But again, strip it all away. You don't have a democracy. You can't vote. You can't freely assemble. You can't express openly in public squares or in programs like this what you believe. It doesn't matter how much you're paying at the pump, baby. It doesn't matter how much you're paying at the grocery store. What matters is the freedom that one single act of being able to vote, to put in place individuals who best represent the interests of the country over their party, over their self-interest. That's what this is about, and we got to get serious about that. We just cannot pretend that we give power back to those who fomented insurrection, that they're somehow going to behave better. Really? They're telling you, give us the power back, and guess what we're going to do? All the laundry list of things, the retribution, the hearings that are going to be called, the subpoenas that are going to be, and get this straight. When they put out a subpoena and a Democrat doesn't show up, watch the marshals show up, because that's what authoritarians do. And that's the difference, folks. That's the difference.
It is certainly what they have previewed themselves.